الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى كل من استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا ثم أما بعد. Last week we were speaking about the characteristics of Salahudeen rahimahullah wa tayyib tharah. And one point that I was discussing with the brother is that in relation to the tax that the Fatimiyin have imposed on the people of Egypt for the maintenance of Mecca and Medina. And I said last week that this tax was abolished by Salahudeen rahimahullah, and instead the amount that used to be collected from the people of Egypt as a tax to maintain the two mosques in Mecca and Medina, he actually decided to pay this from his own treasury. However, the brother, he thought that he cancelled it completely. No, he cancelled the tax. But the amount that used to be collected for the sake of that, he actually compensated it and replaced it from his own treasury. In other words, he did not pass the cost of maintaining the mosques in Mecca and Medina to the people. He actually made sure that it comes directly from where? From the treasury of the Muslims. And by this, he actually eased the burden of the Muslims in relation to the maintenance of Mecca and Medina. Last week, we spoke about his courage, we spoke about his patience, we spoke about his worship, we spoke about his dedication and his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and many of his qualities. And tonight, inshallah ta'ala, what we will do, we will continue to do the same things. There are a couple of characteristics that are very significant and unique in Salahudeen rahimahullah. We will touch upon them and then we're going to move on to the next stage that I think that it is important for the Muslims to know in relation to the life of Salahudeen. How was the nature of Salahudeen? Salahudeen was patient. But how was his patience? Was his patience a patience where you can see the signs of anger on him? Or was he a type of person that can maintain his calmness even when he is patient? And in reality, Salahudeen rahimahullah was very patient and he was very calm. And he was a person that can really contain his emotions and his reactions no matter what happens in front of him. And that's why this amazed al-Qadi bin Shaddad rahimahullah when he saw that hilm in Salahudeen, that calmness and well-containment of himself. And he talks that once he was sitting in his gathering and some of the servants, they were fighting with one another. So one of them took off his shoes and he threw the shoe at who? At the other one. He missed him. Who did he hit? He hit right next to Salahudeen. Hit right next to Salahudeen. What did he do? He turned his face around as if it didn't happen. He completely what? Brushed off what happened. And that was his nature. He would ignore the faults of people. He was very good at that. He will actually, in a way, endure the stance of people towards him and the words that are said to him, and he will try his best not to get angry and not to punish the people who are in front of him. And that's why Ibn Shaddad himself speaks about the fact that once he was traveling, they were traveling with Salahudeen on a particular expedition, and then the she-donkey of Salahudeen, or the she-ass, what it did, it came so close, of Ibn Shaddad came so close to Salahudeen and actually squeezed his leg between the horse and what? And the donkey. So much that it was very, very painful. Did Salahudeen say anything? He looked at Ibn Shaddad and he smiled at him. He looked at Ibn Shaddad and he smiled at him. He didn't say, ah. He didn't say, move it away. He endured his pain. And once he caught two people that stole two bags of gold dananir from the treasury of the Muslims. And what they did, actually, they replaced them with something else. So what did he do when he caught them and they admitted to it? He forgave them. He ordered for the money to be returned, and then he forgave them. And one day, he was traveling on one of the expeditions, and what happened is that he was very tired that day. And it was the habit of Salahudeen is that they will travel, and then they'll pray dhuhr, and then they'll have lunch, and then he'll go for a small nap. Then after that, he will actually get up to pray Jama'ah, to pray Asr Jama'ah. That day, they were a bit delayed, so they had the lunch, and after they had the lunch, he wanted to sleep. So they said to him, don't sleep, there's no time, it's going to be the time of what? The time of Salat al-Asr. So he said, okay, we'll sit down and we'll wait for what? For Salat al-Asr. And that day he was very tired. He was very sick. And he asked for everyone to leave him alone. And only those who are close to Salahudeen were sitting with him. And he's sitting down annoyed, tired. He goes, khalas, we'll wait, we'll pray Salat al-Asr, and then we'll actually sleep. He was sick. So one of his generals came to him with some papers that he needed his signature on it. So he looked at him and he said, please, can you keep it until later? I'm sick, I'm tired. And he said to him, no. And then he brought the paper and he opened it and he put it right in front of Salahudeen. Like that. Salahudeen looked at it and he saw the name of the person to whom the paper is concerned. And he said, Rajulun mustahaq, that man, he needs help. He said to him, then you sign to him. Now Salahudeen was sitting at the mouth of the tent. And there's no one behind him. He said to him, then sign to him, sign the paper for him. He said, okay, but there's no pen. And then looked at him and said to him, the pen is inside. He's telling who? Salahudeen, the pen is inside. And then he turned and he said, yes, it is. And then what he did, actually, he fell back and he stretched his hand and he got the pen and then he signed for the man. And he took the paper and left. SubhanAllah, people today went there to breathe in the wrong way in front of what? In front of a leader. But that's how Salahudeen was. He was very calm, well contained, patient, loving to his people. And even if it is pain, he will endure pain. If it is harsh treatment, he'll endure harsh treatment. Today people get killed just for blinking the wrong way in front of a president. Before you go in, you have to know your ethics. They run through the protocol with you, how you put the papers and what hand you use, and how you gesture and how you move. With Salahudeen, things were much, much simpler than that. And one of the things that amazed the Westerners, of course, when we talk about the Westerners here, we're talking about the Crusaders. We're not talking about the current one, but it is something that is very noble about Salahudeen, is his muru'ah. He was someone that was very noble in the way that he behaves and the way he deals with the people who are around him. And as Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah says, وَالْمُرُوءَةُ هِيَ تَجَنُّبٌ لِلدَّنَايَا وَالرَّذَائِلِ. It is for you to avoid what is foul and what is improper from the acts of people. Salahudeen was always smiling, was someone that when he meets people, he actually treats them and respects them as they are. Ibn Shaddad once mentions that one of his friends, he was a scholar and a mutasawwif at the same time, and he used to live in Damascus. He had some affair to do in the city where Salahudeen was living. And he has heard a lot about Salahudeen when he came to Jerusalem. So after he finished whatever he has to do for his life, he wanted to meet with Salahudeen. So he spoke to his friend Ibn Shaddad. He said, I've seen what he has done. MashaAllah, he's a great leader, and I would like to have the honor of meeting him. He said yes. He spoke to Salahudeen, and Salahudeen, what did he do? He accepted. So he went in, he greeted him, he respected him, and Salahudeen used to love and respect the people of knowledge a lot, especially after he knew about his knowledge. And therefore he asked him to teach him from the knowledge that he has. So he narrated a couple of ahadith to him, and then he sat with him, and he would not allow the man to go until he has lunch with him. And that was the habit of Salahudeen. Even if you're his enemy, once you enter into his tent or into his house, then you have to have food with him. That's why when the leader of the Crusaders from Saida, when he met with him, he refused to speak to him until they had lunch, and then he ate, and then he started speaking to him. And he treated the Sheikh in a higher respect than that. He sat with him, he was smiling at him, and then he actually gave him a great gift, and he gave him some things, some types of clothes and so forth. And then he left. The scholar left. Now, the scholar finished whatever he has to do in Jerusalem, and he returned to where? To Damascus. Ibn Shaddad said to him, I don't think it's wise for you to leave without you seeing Salahuddin. I don't think he'll be happy with that. He said, Khalas, I've met him, I wanted to meet him, it's all done. I have to leave now. So he left. A couple of days later, Salahuddin asked about this scholar. Looked at Ibn Shaddad, he said to him, where is Fulan? He said, he left to Damascus. He became upset. He said, how could you let him live like that? We have not done our duty towards him. We have not done our duty towards him. Why didn't I see him before he leaves? That's not fair. I want to see him now. I have to pay him the respect that he deserves. So Ibn Shaddad sent a postman from Jerusalem to where? To Damascus. And he said, Allah yarda alayk. Salahuddin is upset because he did not get the chance to farewell you. So could you come back? And he said, وَكَانَ لِي دَلَالٌ عَلَيْهِ. Yani, he used to earn me. So he came. And when he came in, Salahuddin got up for him and he hugged him. He said, how could you leave without seeing you? We have not benefited from you. We would like your company. And he actually gave him a lot of money. He gave him a lot of clothes for him, for his family, for his neighbors, and he gave him some horses as well. And then after that, he walked him out and he said, now you can leave. Now we have done our duty towards you because you are one of our scholars. And once they brought a crusader prisoner in front of him, and the man was very, very scared. So Salahuddin looked at him and said to him, why are you so scared? So the interpreter, so the prisoner was smart. So he said to him, I was scared until I saw this beautiful face, and now I'm no longer scared. So Salahuddin looked at him and he smiled, and he let him go. He knew how to save himself. But the story that the Westerners and the Crusaders remember very well is the story of Salahuddin with I think a French or a German lady. What happened is that because the country was in a state of war, some Muslim thieves went into the cities of the Crusaders and they stole a daughter, the daughter of one of the ladies. The lady was very scared, was very worried about her daughter, and she knew that she's gone. So she went to her leaders and she said to them, could you get my daughter back? They said, listen, there's no chance of us getting her back. And she was crying, crying, crying until I said to her, listen, we know of that Sultan to be Rahim. We know him that he's to be what? That he is merciful. So we'll actually open up the doors for you and you go to him and see what he can do with your daughter. She said, okay. So they opened the door for her and she went out and she walked to the campsite of Salahuddin. They saw her on the way. What do you want? I want to meet Salahuddin. Come. They brought her to Salahuddin. She sat and the interpreter sat and he said, what is your story? And she said, you know, Ya Sultan, some of the Muslim thieves have stolen my daughter. And my daughter has nothing to do with what is happening. And I would like my daughter to be back. And she began to cry. As I said to you, Salahuddin was someone that is soft-hearted. So when he saw her crying, he became very affected. And then he said, I want you to go out and find me that girl. So he sent his people to look for the daughter. He said, and you'll not come back until you bring that daughter, you bring that girl with you. So they went and they looked for her and they found her and they returned with the girl. And they said to her, there's your daughter, take her and you can leave safely. Of course, she started crying a lot and everyone was affected with what happened. And that's why Salahuddin, his nobility with dealing with the Crusaders is something that used to amaze them a lot. And subhanAllah, they knew that about him. They knew that about him. A Muslim leader, back when the Muslim leaders and the Muslims themselves were really following the teachings of Rasulullah ﷺ, did not at any stage hesitate to launch a complete army for the sake of one woman, or one child, or one man. But the Crusaders were not willing to take that risk. You go to him by yourself. But when she went, she implored to Salahuddin with his what? With the mercy that Allah has put inside his heart. And she got her daughter back. See the difference in the standards of dealing with your people? Salahuddin is someone that has learned properly from the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that's why when he was fighting during his fight with Richard, the king of England, Richard Lionheart, he knew about his sickness. So what he used to do is that sometimes he will actually send him food and fruits and ice. And sometimes he will send him doctors to treat him. And sometimes Richard, because he don't want to put himself down, he will say, we have some people who are sick. Can I have some chicken? And he was actually the one who is sick. And Salahudeen knew that he was the one that is sick, and he used to still send him with food. And that was out of the nobility of Salahudeen. And even some of the Western historians themselves, they say that in one of the battles, when Richard lost his horse, Salahudeen sent him one of his horses. He said to one of his followers, give him a horse. Because Richard was a man of war, was a very strong fighter. And Salahudeen used to deal with people face to face. And these are some of the nobilities or the noble characteristics of Salahudeen, rahimahullah. And that's what Mr. Dad says, he used to care about everyone that is with him. Whenever he sees them, how are you? How's your kids? How's your life? He'll check on his health. He'll check on his state. If he passes by orphans, he will look after them. And he will make sure that there is a particular share of money that gets paid for them from the treasury of the Muslims. And he was, as much as that, he was someone that was wafi. He was actually fidel and loyal, and he will not break his word. And when the leader of the Christians walked out from Jerusalem, of course, when he let him go, he made sure that they have to pay 10 dinar as a fee for them exiting. And other things happened, but I don't want to mention that now. I'll mention it when we'll talk about the conquest of Jerusalem, inshallah, and the last lesson that we have. It was 10 dinar. Now, I think the Archbishop, when he went out, he had loads of gold and silver put on the back of horses and camels. The Muslims looked at him and said to him, look at him, he's going out with all this money. We should take it. He only charged him 10 dinar. Look how, he has thousands of them. He said, لا أحب أن أغدر به. Because I would not like to break my word with him. He wants to take this money, take the money. And that Archbishop would not even pay the fee for some of the Christians to leave from Jerusalem. Talk about being loyal to God, eh? Love of gold was greater in the heart of the Archbishop. He would pay it, Salahudeen. And in fact, we'll leave that later. But actually we'll mention it. Some of the Muslim historians were actually upset with Salahudeen because they found him to be very merciful with people that would actually always come back and hurt him and fight him. Because that's how they were. He would free them, as we're going to mention a couple of times. He would free them and they'll prepare an army and they'll come back and fight him. And that shows you that the nobility that they speak about is not something that they meet. The one who meets it is Salahudeen rahimahullah. Because he learned it from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When Salahudeen became the minister in Egypt, and all the people of positions came to congratulate him for the position, they found next to Salahudeen an old man that Salahudeen was treating in a very, very nice way, to the extent that they thought that he is either his father, his relative, his grandfather, someone that is from the family of Salahudeen. And then they asked, who is that man? Who do you think it was? I'm not sure if I have 20 bucks, but I promise you I'll give you $20 if you know who that man was. And I'll mention something about him from before. No. He was the servant that actually saved the life of Salahudeen when his father wanted to kill him. You remember when we said that his father was very angry and he felt that this kid was a bad omen on him? He actually repaid him when he became what? A minister. He was sitting him next to him. Some of the historians, they say that there's a weakness in this narration, so I'll mention that this man was a Jew and his name was Musa. Salahudeen kept it for him until he became what? A minister. You do a ma'ruf to him, you do something that is good to him, he will not let it go. He will actually pay you back for it. And that's why when they heard that a servant is getting treated like a king, it is something that has not been heard of before. And he was very humble. He would live with his followers like he is one of them. And that's why one of the things that amazed the people is that when they were building the wall of Jerusalem after actually his collapse after the battle, Salahudeen himself was digging with the Muslims, and was carrying the stones with them, and was helping them in building it. And that's why everyone loved him. Whether you're a general person, or someone that works for him, whether you're a soldier, or you're not a soldier, people felt themselves attracted to him. Why? Because of these beautiful characteristics that he has learned from the Rasul ﷺ and that he has implemented. Again, I remind you, Salahudeen was not only a knight, he was a proper follower of Rasulullah ﷺ. He did not hesitate to actually what? To follow the guidance of the Rasul ﷺ in all the aspects of his life, especially after he made the decision that, khalas, now I am a sultan, I'm responsible for the Muslims. From that time, anything to do with the dunya, Salahudeen has left, and he became very upright. More upright than he ever was in his what? In his young days. Of course, when I came to this point, I have only two lessons left. And I was really hesitant. There are a lot of things to talk about Salahudeen. Do we talk about what he has done in Egypt and how he revived the Sunni methodology and manhaj again? Do we talk about the mosques that he built and the schools that he built? Do we talk about the economic reform that he made? Do we talk about how he set up his army and how he developed it and how he used to run the countries? Or do we talk about how he united the Muslims? And I thought that it's important, if you want to get to the Battle of Hattin and the conquest of Jerusalem, to know how Salahudeen united the rows of the Muslims. What happened is that Nuruddin suddenly died in the year 569. And his death was devastating to the Muslims, because Nuruddin Zinki was the son from which Salahudeen used to always seek his inspiration. He died suddenly, a strange death that historians do not know much about. And there was a complete shock. And as he died, his death meant that there is a big what? There is a big opportunity for everyone that wants to actually benefit from the power of Nuruddin to go in and try to what? To take some of it. So some of the generals and leaders were happy with the death of Nuruddin. Some of his relatives and family were happy because they were willing, they're going to get some positions. And the Crusaders were actually very relieved, because he was the main person that was leading the Muslim front against them. And what happened is that he left a young son whose age was around 11 years old. So he was very what? Very, very young. Straight away, people started, the leaders started to what? To plan and plot for the positions. So Saifuddin Ghazi, who is the nephew of Nuruddin Zinki, what did he do? He started attacking the land and the counties that used to belong to Nuruddin. So he took Nasibin, for example. He took Harran. He took Al-Khabur. He took different areas, and he actually joined them to his area, which is Al-Mosul. Because what happened is that after the death of Ahmad-Din Zinki, he divided his states amongst his children. So Nuruddin took Halab and Damascus, and Saifuddin Ghazi, the father, took Al-Mosul. And then when his son took after him, Saifuddin Ghazi the second, he actually, what did he do? He exploited the death of his uncle, so he can expand his power. And he actually went back and imposed the taxes that were actually abolished by who? By Nuruddin. And he began to allow people to drink and to have nightclubs and so forth. Second, as I said to you for last week, Salahudeen used to fight with one hand tied to the back. Not everyone that was around Salahudeen in the Muslim world believed in what Salahudeen believed in. So as soon as Nuruddin died, the princes in Damascus wanted to benefit from the situation. So they came and they actually overpowered his son, and they kept his son as what? As an image, as a leader, and they wanted to run the country from behind, and from behind the curtains. How old was he? He was 11 years old. And they agreed to place someone called Ibn al-Muqaddam as the leader, as the guardian who's responsible for the son of Nuruddin. And At the same place, at the same time, in Halab, in Aleppo, there was a man called Ibn Dayya. Ibn Dayya was on the same methodology of who? Of Salahuddin. Nothing changed as far as this is concerned. So Al-Mosul now got expanded because Saifuddin Ghazi wanted to he got more land that did not belong to him and put it under his control. He increased the number of taxes that are to be paid. He allowed intoxicating drinks and nightclubs to be allowed and to be opened. He became very, very loose. The princes of Damascus took over the position of the son of Nur ad-Din. And then the Crusaders, what they did, they attacked Banyas. Banyas now is known to be a city in Syria. Back then it was a fortress. They attacked Banyas straight away. And what happened is that the princes of Damascus, what they did is that they asked the Crusaders, they said, we will pay you money, but we want you to what? To move away from Banyas. And they offered a big sum of money, I think 60,000 dinar, which was a big sum. And then the Crusaders refused. But when they found themselves unable to break into Banyas, they accepted the deal and they took the money. Of course, back then, there was no media. So Salahuddin had not known about the death of who? Of Nuruddin yet. And he heard it from his spies that they used to spy on the Crusaders. When he heard the news, he was shocked. So he sent a letter straight away to Nuruddin. I have heard from the enemies of Islam something that I forbid that Allah has done to our Mawla, to our leader, Nuruddin, and may the afiyah of Allah, may the health and fitness of Allah be upon you, blah, blah, blah. Just in short, just any checking. Is it a rumor or is it a fact? Who wrote back to him? The princes of Damascus. عظم الله عزاءنا وعزاءك في الملك العادل. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our condolences in relation to our king. And the one who has taken over now is his son, Ismail, al-Malik al-Salih. And you have to give what? Allegiance to him. You have to give the bay'ah, the pledge to him. And remember that Nuruddin has placed you as his representative in the fight against the Crusaders. So inshallah, we would like you to continue. Of course, they are writing on the tongue of who? Of the son of Nuruddin. What do they want? They want to keep Salahuddin away from Damascus. So they can continue to what? They can continue to rule and do whatever they want. Salahuddin became very upset and he made aza for a funeral for Nuruddin for 3 days. And after 3 days, he wrote a letter of condolences to the son and he said to him, I am the khadim, as I was the khadim, as I was the servant of your father, I will continue to be the servant for you. And he asked the khudaba to, when they make Jum'ah, to call and make dua for the son of Nuruddin, who was 11 years old. Al-Malik Al-Adil, Al-Malik Al-Salih, Ismail. And he actually also, when he made the money, he made sure that his name is written on it. But Salahuddin was not happy with what's happening. Why? Saifuddin Ghazi attacks whatever he wants. He changes the rules, he imposes taxes. The Crusaders attack the fortress of Banyas, and the Muslims don't do anything about it. And in fact, they pay him money. They pay the money to go away. When he heard that, he became very, very upset. So he started sending messages. And he said, in a way, sort of, in a nice way, blaming him. Why didn't you tell me that they are attacking you in Banyas? Why didn't you ask for help? I would have come and helped you. Why didn't you tell me about what Saifuddin Ghazi has done? But the issue did not stop there, because what happened is that the princes themselves, they agreed, they made actually a plot against Ibn Dayya, who is in control of Aleppo. And they said to him, we're going to bring the Malik, the young king, to you. When they took him to Aleppo, they killed and they bashed the friend of Salahuddin Ibn Dayya, who was the leader, and they got the army general of Aleppo to be what? To become with them. And then they bashed him with the legs and the feet, and they threw him in the worst of the prisons. And they jailed, and they actually kept who? They kept the young king in Aleppo. Salahuddin is not happy. He heard about all this news. He's not happy. And he said to them, this is not what Nuruddin have told you to do. And he felt that the stake of the unity of the Muslims now is what? The fate of the unity of the Muslim is at stake. So and he felt that he should do something about it. So he wrote to Ibn al-Muqaddam and said to him, is this how you treat the generals? Is this how you treat the loyal followers and princes of Nuruddin, like Ibn Daya, this is not something that is acceptable. At least you should stop doing so at once. However, the princes, now they start to what? They start to fight with Salahuddin. Listen, this is nothing to do with you. We know what we are doing. You are nothing but a servant of Nuruddin. You think now that you are someone that can impose your wish upon us? And then what? The fighting began to take place. At the same time, the people of Damascus were not happy with what is happening. And the scholars of Damascus also were not happy with what is happening. And all the princes wanted Salahuddin to stay away. Why? Because Salahuddin was not just an ordinary general. He was a strong leader. He proved his skill in leadership. And he also has he's someone that has a massive land under his control, which is Egypt, Sudan, and Yemen. So he has a large number of people to fight for him. And he has a lot of provisions to be used for him. So they wanted to keep him away from them. And Salahuddin became confused. Do I fight? Or do I actually let them do whatever they're doing? And especially when they began to tell him, now you think you are bigger than Nuruddin. This is the son of Nuruddin. You have to obey him. You have to do this. You have to do that. He became confused. But he got so many messages from the scholars of Damascus, and the people of Damascus themselves were not happy with what is happening. So Salahuddin felt that he should what? He should make a move. At the same time, Ibn al-Muqaddam, the one who took the son of Nuruddin from Damascus to Aleppo, and he conspired with the general army in Aleppo, Kamishtakin, against the leader, he actually had a fight with him. So the general army, what he did, he turned back on who? Ibn al-Muqaddam himself, and he kicked him out. So he got what he wanted. He tricked him. He got the son into Aleppo, so he can be the guardian over him, so he can rule everything. And then he kicked out Ibn al-Muqaddam. So Ibn al-Muqaddam had no choice but to ask for the help of who? Of Salahuddin. He had no choice but to ask. So Salahuddin, what he did, he was very smart. What did he do first? He sent a letter to the Khalifa, the Abbasi Khalifa. This and this and this and this has happened. I feel that the unity of Muslims is at stake, and I feel that I have to make a move to Damascus. And the Khalifa gave him the green light. Said, do whatever you want, and I'll actually put you as the leader over Damascus. And he went, and when he went to Damascus, he did not fight. He only had 700 soldiers with him. The people of Damascus opened up for him the gates of Damascus. They just wanted him to come. He went in. The rumors that were made about him, that he wants to take over and that he's after position, he actually settled it, and he clarified all the matters with the leaders of Damascus and the princes, and he said, I have no intention in actually getting rid of anyone or actually getting rid of the son of Nuruddin. I just want to maintain the unity of the Muslims against the Crusaders. And as a result, they all actually accepted him. That's why he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَلَّكَنَا دِمَشْقَ عِنَايَةً لَا عُنْوَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gave us authority over Damascus out of care, in a nice manner. لَا عُنْوَةً, not with force. وَلَمْ يَكْتُبْ فِيهَا بِحَمْدِ اللَّهِ إِلَى خَطِيئَةٍ خَطْوَةٍ. And he has not destined upon us, on our path to it, to take any step in which there is a sin that is involved. Meaning what? Meaning, وَأَنَّ رَأَيْنَا الْعَفْوَ أَقْرَبَ لِلتَّقْوَى. And we see that forgiveness is closer to taqwa. So he forgave what happened from the princes of Damascus, and he settled there. Then what happened is that now Kamishtakin, he's not happy with Salahuddin being in Damascus. SubhanAllah, see how this leader's, the main interest is what? Power. Power. He felt that he's threatened, because if Salahuddin is in Damascus, then tomorrow he'll be where? In Aleppo. So he began to take what? To start making preparations for fighting Salahuddin. Salahuddin always used to send messages and letters and try to negotiate with the people before he attacked. So he sent him a letter saying, I just want you to hand to me the son of Nuruddin. I've been a loyal servant to his father before him, and I'll continue to be a good servant for him. And his father trusted me with Egypt before he trusted any of you. And that's because he knew that I'll do my duties towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there, and therefore none of you has the greater right of looking after him than me. Of course, Kamashtakin was not happy. He sent to him very vulgar letters and very threatening. The messenger of Kamashtakin was telling him, and remember that the swords and the soldiers with which you entered Egypt are actually our swords and our soldiers, and therefore whenever we want, we can kill you and we can humiliate you. And start talking. And Salahuddin is looking at him, and what is he doing? He was smiling. He was smiling at him, and he said, and he became very angry, but he contained, again, what did he do? He contained himself. He smiled at him, shook his head, and he said to them, take him out. Take the messenger out. Kamashtakin, what did he do? He wanted to gain more power. In Aleppo, there are Sunnis and Shia. So he decided to win the side of the Shia on his side as well, and the assassins at the same time. So he actually, calling himself the representative of the son of Nuruddin, began to negotiate with them, and he wanted their support against who? Against Salahuddin. So he said, I'll change the adhan for you. So for example, instead of Hayya Salah, Hayya Falah, Hayya al Khair al Amal, Muhammadun wa Aliyun, Khairul Bashar. And then he said, I'll mention the name of the 12 Imams in the Khutab. And I'll change the Salah of Janazah to the way that you do it. And anyone that wants to get married, he'll have to go through your scholars. To do what? To gain the support. Against who? Against the one who is one of the most pious Sunni leaders to exist. Did he stop there? No. He spoke to the assassins who were known as al-Hashashin, people who used to take pot and control on the pot, and the leader used to use magic, who are actually from the Ismailiyin, and they were known to be killers, hired killers. And he hired them to assassinate who? Salahuddin. And he paid them money, and they tried to actually kill him more than once. But they never succeeded. They got very close to him. One of them stabbed him in the head, but because he was wearing the helmet, the khawda, did not get through, and then he managed to hold him, and then one of them, he wounded him in the face. And then another one jumped, and then the leaders and then princes who were Salahuddin, they kept on fighting with them until they killed all of them. That's once. And then the second time what they did, they went under the disguise of them being one of his soldiers, and they fought with him. And then when he was walking safely, they suddenly attacked him, around 4 of them, and then also, alhamdulillah, he was saved from them. So he hired them to kill him. And some people say that he actually, not only Kamashtakin hired the assassins to kill Salahuddin, even some of the crusaders did that. Even some of the crusaders did that. They paid them to kill Salahuddin because Salahuddin was seen as what? As a major threat, because he's working more and more on uniting the rows of the Muslims. And then he actually, next thing that he did, he started speaking to the crusaders, and he spoke to the prince of Tripoli, who was Raymond III. And he said to him, I'll pay you money on the condition that you fight with me against who? Against Salahuddin. All that, so he can remain a leader over Aleppo. He'll kill one of the swords of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He'll kill one of the pious leaders. He will actually negotiate on the practices of his own belief. He will actually pay the crusaders to fight on his side against Salahuddin. And why is that? Because he wants a position. Because he wants a position. Raymond III, he tried to threaten Salahuddin to stop him from going to Aleppo. He refused. He said, after all this been done, I'm going to fight against him. So what did he do? He attacked Homs, a state that is under the control of Salahuddin. So Salahuddin had no choice but to leave Aleppo and go back and what? And make sure that Homs is protected. So what happened to Salahuddin? He became stuck between 2 forces, between the Crusaders and Kamashtakin who's fighting against him. And then what he did, he got the young leader, the young Khalifa to go out and goes, look at him, he's so poor, he's so miserable. Salahuddin, the cruel man, the beast, is coming to kill him. He has been always good to you. Do you remember his father, how good he was to you? And the people became very emotional, said, yes, we will fight for you until death. He used all this to do what? To keep Salahudeen away from him. And then he sent to Saifuddin Ghazi to come and to help him. Saifuddin Ghazi, the second, also was not happy with Salahudeen. So he joined forces with his cousin, and he wanted to attack Salahudeen, and they met in an area which is called Hama. They saw that they cannot win the fight against Salahudeen, so they began to negotiate. And Salahudeen would always actually try to negotiate before fighting. He went into Damascus peacefully, and as you can see, in many cases, he did. So he said, okay, I agree with you. They actually had negotiations, and they agreed to the terms. What were the terms? That Salahudeen will leave Al-Mosul and will not come to it. That Salahudeen would return all the land of the Sham that he gained to the son of Nuruddin, Al-Malik Al-Salih, and that Salahudeen would return all the money to what? That was taken from the treasury of Damascus. Salahudeen said, okay. But then Saifuddin Ghazi, what he realized is that Salahudeen had a small number of army. Did not have a lot of soldiers. So what did he do? He decided to breach the agreement that he had with Salahudeen, and he decided to attack Salahudeen. So he tried to put some terms which are what? Which are ta'jiziyah, which is not possible for Salahudeen to accept. Like he asked him to give him a state or a small city that was under the control of the cousin of Salahudeen. The cousin, yani the son of Asad-Din Shirkuh. He said to him, I can't give you that. This is under the control of my cousin. This is not something that I can this is not something I can negotiate on. What he was trying to do is actually was trying to cause some disunity amongst the family of Salahudeen itself. So he said, that's it. I will fight you. And he began to fight. And what happened? They were defeated miserably. And Salahudeen won the battle, and the battle was called Qurun Hama, because actually was on the area, on the outskirts of the city of Hama, which is now in Syria. And he caught some of them, some of the leaders. What did Salahudeen do with them? He let them go. He let them go. When Khalifa al-Abbasi heard about this, he also gave Salahudeen control of all the Sham, except Aleppo, out of respect to Nuruddin rahimahullah. So this battle that was built on treachery from the side of Saifuddin Ghazi became a battle that made Salahudeen what? Very strong in the area of the Middle East, to the extent that the Khalifa saw him fit for that. Saifuddin Ghazi, did he give up? No, he did not give up. And he was not happy. And what annoyed him more is that the Khalifa accepted Salahudeen, and he gave him proper authority over all this land. So he wanted to fight against him again. And then what Salahudeen did is that he agreed on a term with the people of Aleppo, with Kamashtakin. He said, okay, I'll leave the city to you, okay, but you just help me whenever I need help from you in relation to fighting the Crusaders, and you can keep the son of Nuruddin, and he stays in control, and whatever land I got from Aleppo, I'll give it back to him. Saifuddin Ghazi was not happy with that. So he sent to his cousin, how dare you enter into agreement with Salahudeen? And he actually incited him to break that agreement with him. And he was more enraged by the fact that the Khalifa accepted him. So what did he do? Again, Saifuddin Ghazi sent to Raymond III, and he said, I want you to fight against Salahudeen with me. And he convinced his cousin to what? To break the agreement with Salahudeen. At the same time, what did he do? He acted as if he has no problems with Salahudeen. So he sent a messenger with which he's trying to say to Salahudeen that this battle will happen between us, but we're still on good terms and so forth. But the messenger made a crucial mistake. What do you think he did? He had in his bag 2 letters. One is to be given to leaders of Aleppo, to Kamashtakin, and one to be given to who? To Salahudeen. He gave the letter of Kamashtakin to who? To Salahudeen. So Salahudeen opened it, and he read it, and he knew what they were planning. So he closed it, and he put it aside. So he knew that Saifuddin Ghazi was planning to attack him. And he is inciting the people of the leader of Aleppo, Kamashtakin, to also attack him. And that he's plotting with the Crusaders, with Raymond III, against him. So what did he do? He prepared himself. He prepared himself for battle. Saifuddin Ghazi brought his army from the Mosul, and then Malik al-Adil brought his army from Aleppo, and they met, and the number was 20,000 soldiers. Going to do what? Going to attack Damascus so they can get rid of Salahuddin. They met at an area which is called what? Tel al-Sultan. At this time, what Salahuddin did, he made a smart move. He got in contact with Raymond III and he said, listen, I'm willing to enter into a peace treaty. He did not tell him, fight with me against my Muslim brothers. He said, I'm willing to enter into a peace treaty with you. And I'll free some of your soldiers. But you don't attack me from the back. But you don't attack me from the back. So what did he do? He said, yes, I agree. So this way, Salahuddin protected what? Protected his back. And he went into the fight, into the battle, and he fought against them. And their number was greater than his number, and he won the fight against them. And again, he caught some of their leaders. But what did he do? He let them go. He freed them, and he let them go. And that's when Saifuddin Ghazi realized that he should enter into an agreement with Salahuddin. Salahuddin was willing to do so. So what was the agreement? First term, أن يكون الجميع يدا واحدة ضد الصليبيين. That we all be one hand in our fight against the Crusaders. The first term that Salahuddin put. أن لا يجوز لأحد من الأطراف أن ينقض العهد. That one of the people who signed on this agreement are allowed to breach this agreement. And if any of us is to breach it, then we all fight the person who breached it. And that Salahuddin will give the castle, the city of Azaz to Malik al-Salih. You want to take it? Take it. And so what happened? Saifuddin Ghazi the second went back to his state. And soon he became sick. And the historians, they mention something that is strange about his death. What they say is that the people of Mosul during that time, they were suffering from a lot of poverty and a lack of rain. There was drought. So they wanted to go out and make Salat al-Istisqa and implore upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide for them and for rain to come down. And they all walked in great numbers to the castle of Saifuddin Ghazi, blaming him for allowing alcohol to be consumed again in the state, because before it wasn't when Nuruddin was around. And they said to him that what is happening to us is because of the sins that you are doing. So you should stop allowing people from selling alcohol and having pubs and clubs and so forth. Under that power, what did he do? He said, okay, go destroy. So the people started running to the places where there are pubs, and they began to do what? To destroy and to close it down. Like, our time is nearly up. And then what happened is that they caused a lot of chaos. The people of the owners of the pubs in these areas, they complained to who? To Saifuddin. And they blamed a man who's called Abu al-Faraj al-Daqqaq. This man was a man of ibadah and zuhd. And in reality, Abu al-Faraj al-Daqqaq was not responsible for the damage that was caused by who? By the people. He was only going to what? To get rid of the alcohol. Because it's haram. So he was brought to the castle and he was bashed. He was very hurt, and his amama fell off his head. Of course, the amama back then was a sign of honor. And he was very humiliated. And when they got him out of the castle, they tried to put his amama back on. He said, Wallah, I will not put it back حتى ينتقم الله لي ممن ظلمني. He goes, Wallah, I will not put it back until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seeks revenge from me, from those who oppressed me. And he made dua against them. They say that short period later, the one who was responsible for bashing him died. And Saifuddin Ghazi II himself became ill, and then soon after that he died. Subhanallah. And then also the son of Nuruddin, Malik al-Salih Ismail, he also became poisoned. Alhamdulillah that he was not under the control of who? Salahuddin, because they would have blamed him for his death. What did they do? They put poison in the grapes for him. And he ate it, and he became very sick, and soon after that, he died. Who killed him? The princes of Aleppo. Some of the Westerners, they try to blame Salahuddin for that. But how could that be? The city is not under his control. The princes do not like him, and they are fighting him. He cannot even come near it. He tried so many times to enter into Aleppo, but he couldn't. So who killed the son of Nuruddin? Those who plotted against him and tricked him in the first place. And then after that, what happened is that Salahuddin tried to actually get al-Mosul. First time did not work with him. I'm trying to save time here. Second time did not work with him. Third time, the Khalifa interfered. Saifuddin, the son of Saifuddin Azz-ad-Din Mas'ud, felt that he needs to negotiate with who? With Salahuddin. So a negotiation at the third time was actually met. What were the terms? These were the terms. First of all, that Salahuddin will give Halab to Ahmad ad-Din Zinki, the second, the brother of Saifuddin. Second, that Salahuddin will give also Ahmad ad-Din Zinki other areas like As-Sinjar, Al-Khabur, Wasarruj. And that Salahuddin, he actually gets help from Ahmad ad-Din Zinki in terms of military power. That whenever he wants army, he would send him what? An army. And Salahuddin entered into Aleppo, but he left Aleppo to what? To Ahmad ad-Din Zinki the second. And then he did exactly the same thing with Azz-ad-Din Mas'ud. Exactly the same thing. He said, you continue to be the ruler over Al-Mosul. I have no problems with that. But you are under my general authority. My name is mentioned in the what? In the khutab. And whenever I ask you for soldiers to fight the Crusaders, then you send them to me. Other than that, I don't want anything from you. And by this, Salahuddin united the complete Muslim front. From Egypt, all the way to what? To Iraq. His dream was what? Fulfilled. Now all the Muslim lands, even though they're not all happy with him, under his authority. And at least he got from them a very important condition. You're all under my general authority, and whenever I ask you for soldiers and help militarily, you give that to me. When that happened, Salahuddin became very, very ill. Became very, very sick. And they took him to Harran. And everyone was awaiting to see what is going to happen with Salahuddin. Is he going to die or not? And they sent a lot of doctors, but doctors were not able to help Salahuddin. Al-Qadi al-Fadil, a pious scholar, inshallah with this I'll end, he actually suggested to Salahuddin something. Remember before Ibn Shaddad suggested for him to ask Allah for his help. He said to him, Ya Salahuddin, make a vow that you'll stop fighting against the Muslims and you'll only fight against the Crusaders, inshallah Allah will cure you. So Salahuddin made a nadhr. He made a nadhr. What was the vow? The vow was, Ya Rabb, if you cure me, then I will actually put all my effort and everything I gained and all my power in fighting against the Crusaders. And I am going to kill Reynold de Chatillon. And I'll talk about his story later on. He vowed to do these two things. A few days later, Salahuddin recovered as if there's nothing wrong with him. He recovered as if there's nothing wrong with him. And people became joyful, and the news was spread in the land, and he got letters of congratulations even from the Khalifa. And the Khalifa gave him the complete authority, the official authority of all this land. So what's the next step now? Leading the battle against the Crusaders. And with this, inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop. Inshallah ta'ala. And next week, we'll talk about how he actually began his march against the Crusaders and how he actually freed Jerusalem. وصلى الله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
To listen to or download more Islamic lectures, please visit www.islamicmedia.com.au.